Good morning, afternoon, and evening to all of you. I am Kisha Demilusan from ABMYA-3, teaching you the basic types of proportion, mainly the direct, inverse, and partitive. Before we got into our main topic, let's first talk about the meaning of proportion and their different types. Firstly, the proportion. Proportion compares two or more ratios or rate. Proportions can differentiate a pair of objects according to how they are shared as a whole or how they are different in size and quantity they carry. But proportion has its types, most commonly known as direct, inverse, and partitive. Let's talk about it, shall we? In proportion, we have direct. Direct proportion means that there is a direct relationship between the two given variables. It is also stated that when one variable increases, the other one also increases. Here's some examples.
The problem is, if 5 whole apples are sold at 100 pesos, how much money would you gain if you sold 10 apples? Before we go into our formula, let's first identify the quantities that was given and the problem. The given is 100 pesos, 5 whole apples, and 10 whole apples. Since we're finding the money that you would gain and it's still unknown, we put n. Next step is to set up a proportion. We have here 100 over 5 is equals to n over 10. And for our last step, let's find the missing term, which is n. For finding the missing term, we would use what we call the cross multiplication. 10 times 100 is equals to 1000. And 5 multiplied by n is equals to 5. Now we multiply the two variables. We should now divide it both to find the answer. 1000 divided by 5 is equals to 200. So the answer in the question, if 5 whole apples are sold at 100 pesos, how much would you gain if you sold 10 apples? The answer is 200 pesos. Another example is, if one jeepney can carry out 28 person, how many jeepney can carry 112 person? Just like the first example, the first step is we should identify the given variables. The number of jeepneys is 1. Number of person is 28 and 118. 112. So, since the second number of jeepney is missing, we should put n. Now that we find our variables and we identify each of them, let's go to the next step, which is building our proportion. For our second step, set up our proportion. Our proportion should be 1 over 28 and it is equals to n over 112. Now that we set up our proportion, we should do what we called, again, the cross multiplication to find out the missing numbers of jeepneys. So 112 multiplied by 1 is equals to 112. 28 over n is equals to 28. 112 divided by 28 is equals to, let's look, 112 divided by 28 is equals to 4. Now that we define the answer, we can answer the question. The question is, if one jeepney can carry out 28 person, how many jeepneys can carry out 100 person? While doing that, we can conclude that 4 jeepneys can carry out 112 persons. Last question, for our last example, if 8 boxes of juice was sold at 200 pesos, what is your income if you sold 20 boxes? Just like the other examples, let's first identify what was the given variables. So 200 pesos over 8 boxes, 20 boxes, and since the other money was unidentified, we should put n. after finding these variables, the next step is building our proportions. So our proportions should be 200 over 8 and 20 over n. Now, we build our variables, right? And the last step should be finding the missing term. By doing the cross multiplication method, we will find the missing term. So let's do that. Cross multiply. 20 multiplied by 200 is equals to 4,000. 8 multiplied by n is equals to 8. Now we find the two numbers. The last step is to divide it. So let's see. 4,000 divided by 8 is equals to 500. And the question, if 8 boxes of juice was sold at 200 pesos, what is your income if you sold 20 boxes? The answer is 500 pesos.
Next, the inverse. One kind of proportionality connection is the inverse proportion. When the two quantities have an inverse relationship, one quantity increases while the other one decreases. Here's some examples.
Welcome back again for another example, but for today, we're talking about the inverse property. The question today is, if 10 men can finish a bowl of rice in 5 minutes, how many minutes can 20% finish it? First, just like any other example, let's find first the missing variables. Firstly is 10. 5 is equals to 20 over. Since missing nga yung minutes natin, lalagyan natin ng x, which is the variable that is missing. So, after finding that, next step natin is to multiply it. So, ang gagawin natin is 10 multiplied by 5 is equals to 20 multiplied by x. So, the answer would be 10 times 5 is equals to 50 is equals to 20x. Now, we can see na meron pa ring variables na natira. So, anong gagawin natin? Kailangang matira ni x. So, ang gagawin natin is multiply natin siya both sides para matira sa x. 20, multiply natin both sides by 20, cancel out, x is equals to 50 over 20. Let's check. 50 over 20 is equals to 5 over 2 or 2.5. So, in the question, if 10 men can finish a bowl of rice in 5 minutes, how many minutes can 20% finish it? The answer should be 2.5 minutes. Next question goes, if 25 women can bake 20 cakes in 5 hours, how long would it take for 15 women to bake 15 cakes? Just like the first given two examples, gagawin natin is find natin yung missing variables. So, the given is 25 women, 5 hours, 15 women, 15 women is equals to x. Mapapansin nyo na hindi natin sinama yung 20 cakes kasi hindi naman siya relevant dun sa question. Ang hinahanap lang natin is how long would it take for 20 cakes, for 15 women to bake 20 cakes. So, the second step is multiply natin is yung 25 sa 5, bali magiging 25, 5 is equals to 15x. Mangyayari is 25 times 5 is equals to 125. Okay, let's check muna natin. 25 times 5 is equals to 125. Is equals to 15x. Ngayon, gagawin natin is kailangan ulit maging solo na x. So, ang gagawin natin is multiply both sides by 15. Cancel out, magiging x is equals to 125 over 15 is equals to 25.3 or 8.33 with 8.33 hours. So the question, if 25 women can bake 20 cakes in 5 hours, how long would it take for 15 women to bake 20 cakes? The answer would be 8.33 hours. For the last example, we have if 50 person can finish a job in 15 days, how long would it take for 10 person to finish the same job? Just like the given example before, we first identify the given variable, the given. So 50 and 15 days is equals to 10 over x muna since missing. After this one, multiply natin sila both. 50 multiplied by 15, let's check. 50 multiplied by 15 equals to 750. 750 equals to 10x is equals to 10x. Kagaya ng ginawa natin sa unang example, kailangan nating alisin yung 10 para mag-solo si x. So ang gagawin natin, divide both sides by 10. X is equals to 750 over 10 is equals to 750 over 10 is equals to 75. And the answer, in the question, if 50 person can finish a job in 15 days, how long would it take for 10 person to finish the same job? The answer is 75 days.
Lastly, we have partitive proportion. Partitive proportion is a proportion of quantity that is dispersed or divided unevenly into two or more parts. The word partitive itself comes from the word divided into parts. Here's some examples.
Now let's go to the example of a partitive proportion. If one jar of chocolates is 60 chocolates and John, Lou, and Ella will share in the ratio of 1 to 2 to 1, how many chocolates will each of them have? The first step that we need to do is find the sum of the ratio. So what are we gonna do is just add 1, 2, and 1. So 1 plus 2 plus 1 is equals to 4. After finding the sum, divide na natin yung base niya, which is 60. 60 since 60 chocolates. Divide natin by 4. Magiging, let's check. 60 divided by 4 is equals to 15. Now that we find the answer, we should multiply each quantity by the quotient. So, ang gagawin natin is, since ang ratio natin is 1, 2, and 1, which is si John, Lou, and Ella. Ito natin, di ba? Yung 15 multiply natin sa ratio. So, magiging 15 times 1, 15 times 2, 15 times 1. So our answer will be 15 times 1 is equals to 15. 15 times 2 is equals to 30. 15 times 1 is equals to 15 left. So, in the question, if one jar of chocolates has 60 chocolates and John, Lou, and Ella will share in the ratio of 1 to 2 to 1, how many chocolates will each of them have? So, John will be having 15 chocolates, Lou will be having 30 chocolates, and Ella will have 15 chocolates. So, let's check muna natin kung tama. So, paano natin i-check kung tama yung in-answer natin? Kailangan lang natin i-add tong 3 na to. So, 15 plus 15 is equals to 30 plus 30 is equals to 60. 60 and 60. Next question goes, there are 100 candies in a jar. If Mike and Cristal will share in a ratio of 6 by 4, how many candies will each of them have? Just like the first example, our step 1 is to find the sum of the ratio. So our ratio is 6 to 4. What will happen is 6 plus 4 is equals to 10. Now that we find the sum of the ratio, the step 2 would be divide the base by the sum. So our base is 100 and we will divide it by 10. 100 divided by 10 is equals to, let's check. 100 divided by 10 is equals to 10. After finding the sum, our next step is multiply each quantity by the quotient. So we will be going to name it MC 6 and 4. So 10 times 6 and 10 times 4. The answer should be 10 times 6 is equals to 60 and 10 times 4 is equals to 40. So in the question, there are 100 candies in a jar. If Mike and Crystal will share in the ratio of 6 by 4, how many candies will each of them have? So in the answer, it is stated that Mike will get 60 candies and Crystal will get 40 candies. But we're not done. Let's check if the answers are correct. So how are we going to do that? We will find the numbers of we will add the number of candies of Mike and Crystal. So 60 plus 40 is equals to 100, similar to our base. For our last question, there are 2,000 pesos in the box. If Bia, Beb, and Lee will share in the ratio of 5 to 6 to 5, how much money will each of them have? So just like any other examples of partitive proportion, our step 1 is to find the sum of the ratio. So our ratio is 5, 6, and 5. Now we must add them to get the answer. 5 plus 5 is equals to 10, plus 6 is equals to 16. So the next step is divide the base by the sum. So our base is 2,000 and we will divide it by the sum. So 2,000 divided by 16 is equals to, let's check. 2,000 divided by 16 is equals to 125. The answer is 125. After finding the answer, our next step is multiply each quantity by the quotient. So how are we gonna do that? First, let's list down all of the people that will share. It's gonna be Bia, Bev, and Lee. So what we're gonna do is we will multiply the quantity by the quotient. So 125 multiplied by 5, 125 multiplied by 6, and 125 multiplied by 5. The answer should be, let's check, 125 multiplied by 5 is equals to 625. So since Lee is getting the same number of ratio, it's still gonna be 625. So per Bev, we will be using 125 multiplied by 6 is equals to 750. So in the question, there are 2,000 pesos in a box. If Bia, Bev, and Lee will share in the ratio of 5 to 6 to 5, how much money will each of them have? So Bia will be having 625 pesos, Bev will be having 750 pesos, and Lee will be having 625 pesos. So we're not done, but we're not done yet. Let's first check if we got the right money. So what we're going to do is add the answers. So 625 plus 750 plus 625 is equals to 2,000 pesos, which is our base money. Now
Now that we're done with the topic about proportion, and I gave you some examples, it is now time for our activities. I will be giving you three sets of questions for each direct, inverse, and partitive. If the video is fast for you, you can just pause the video and answer it. I hope you're done with the activities that I gave, and now let's reveal the answers. For direct, number 1 is 48 men, number 2 is 30 cakes, number 3 is 150 pesos. For direct, number 1 is 5 hours, number 2 is 24 days, and number 3 is 100 chicken. For the partitive proportion, number 1 is 37.5 girls and 22.5 boys. Number 2, Keith 100 apples, Jason 60 apples, Christian 20 apples, and Anna 20 apples. Number 3, Anna 500 sticks, Mark's 200 sticks, and Lee 200 sticks. Sadly, this ends our topic about proportion. Again, I hope this video helps you, and I hope you learned something from me. Again, I am Kisha Demilisan from ABMYA-3, teaching you proportion. But before I leave, I will leave you a quote saying, life is a math equation. In order to gain the most, you have to know how to convert negatives into positive. Goodbye, everyone.